Hey y'all, Funsize here, and welcome to my cooking show. As you can see, we've got all the fine state-of-the-art cooking equipment and... never mind. So, today we have for you in ARK Survival Evolved a dungeon episode. We're going to be prepping for dungeons, and part of prepping for dungeons that y'all need to be doing and grinding out now is recipes, and I really can't stress this enough. Cook these recipes, have hundreds of these available, because when dungeons come, you're going to run through them faster than you can believe it. So I was putting this video together, and I had the idea for it, and I was getting all ready to record it, and at the last minute, I actually saw that Cam's made a video on it too. His video was really great, it was awesome, so go check that out too when you're done here. I might even link it in the description, so we'll see. But these are the recipes you're going to want. I'm going to put the recipes up on the screen when I go to them. I'm going to just flash the wiki page up there, and I'm going to describe to you what these do, some of the side effects that people may not know or think about, and some things that don't actually work in conjunction with one another. So let's hop right in. So you've got your basic brews, and these are your energy brews and your med brews. Now these are each going to restore 40 of their respective things, so 40 energy or 40 health. These are kind of the basics. If you're going to do these and you run Swamp Cave at all, throw into the recipe pot a little bit of extra potent dust, and you'll get potent brews, which do 70 of each. So keep that in mind, you can boost your brews. Citronelles and the standard foods you could bring, I would recommend against bringing them. If you're going to bring a food, bring mushrooms, if at all. Simply because they don't spoil. They have a lot of food for the weight that's in them. They aren't quite as efficient as rare flowers, but honestly, I think mushrooms are better. You'll need less of them. Standard kibbles and cakes you shouldn't need, as there are no tames in the dungeons. Antidote. Antidote is something you can use to block Dilo spits, to block plant X attacks, and to block certain afflictions you can get from leeches or things like this. What I would recommend heavily is for the first few runs of dungeons when we're still getting them figured out, bring antidotes, bring a few just to have on hand. The reason for this is because we are facing some new mechanics that we've never seen before. They've said that there will be certain rooms that are themed, certain areas of the dungeon, certain traps. I would not put it past them to have darts that shoot out of the wall and poison you, maybe give you mega rabies, who knows. Also, moving forward, they're going to be introducing more dinosaurs in the dungeons, and for all we know, we could see megalanias or things along those lines. So, having an antidote on hand, I would really recommend for the first few trials until we start figuring out what's going on with the dungeons and what they use. So that's something that a lot of people aren't going to think of, but I would recommend bringing it along just in case. It's really not that heavy. The basic recipes, two that you're going to want to have going pretty much all the time, are Freya curry and Callian soup. So Callian soup will help you against heat, and Freya curry will help you against cold. Now, if they're going to have rooms with mega cold or mega heat, it's unlikely that these will fix it completely, because if you take one of these, say, into Yeti Cave, it's not going to make a big difference. So make sure to bring some decent armor and maybe even some fur gear in reserve in case you need it. For that, heat isn't as big an issue, it's not going to kill you as quickly as cold does, but keep that in mind too. So I'm probably going to have these running constantly if I can. They don't last that long, it's only 15 minutes. I would just kind of spam it, bring a bunch of them, use them a lot. They're really easy to cook up. With all of these, even though I'm showing you in the chef station because it's easy, don't buy them in the chef station. It's a waste of mixes. These are actually really easy to craft up if you have an industrial cooker. Even if you can borrow an industrial cooker from someone, if you can trade for these, if you really have no access to an industrial cooker, then fine, you can buy these if you really need to. But keep in mind that if you die in the dungeon, you lose everything that's with you, so be really careful. I wouldn't bring anything in that you don't want to lose. Focal chili is going to be good. Craft speed you really won't need, but it'll increase movement speed, which is always good inside a dungeon. You never know when you'll need something to run through a quick area before a switch turns off or whatever. I'm really looking forward to these dungeons. I have no idea what they have in store, and my mind is kind of going wild with possibilities. There could be dozens of different things we've never even thought of before that they have in store for us, so that's pretty awesome. So keep that in mind, be prepared for every eventuality. Focal chili goes well with battle tartar, which we'll cover in a minute. Lazarus Chowder, you're not going to really need to use this one, I'm thinking. Unless they have large underwater portions of the dungeon, you're probably not going to need this. And the reason is because it only does oxygen and stamina. Even though the description mentions health regen, this is only a 15% boost to stamina regen. It's I guess an in-game typo, I'm not sure. But this is only for stamina regen. On the flip side of that, Enduro Stew, which a lot of people use for cave running and some might be thinking to use for dungeons. It looks good on the surface, it increases melee damage, and actually gives a boost to HP regen. The issue with this Enduro Stew is your HP regen cancels out other HP regens. In other words, let's say I'm at 25% health and my Enduro Stew is regenning my health. That's great, but I'm in a fight with wolves. I need health right now. I hit med brew and it does nothing. If you've ever taken a bunch of med brews into a cave and you've got an enduro stew running and you smash the med brews and they don't seem to do anything and you die anyway, it's because enduro stew cancels them out. So I'm actually going to highly recommend against enduro stew for the dungeons. If you want that bonus melee, what you want to do is battle Tartar. Battle Tartar is awesome. You gain massively increased melee damage, move speed, which goes really well with Focal Chili, damage resistance, and stamina regen. This is kind of like the uber buff of all of them. However, you lose HP. So what you want to do is use a Tartar and then just sporadically use med brews as you fight. That'll keep you tip-top shape. Tartar will keep you basically invulnerable, especially if you run it with beer, have any sort of good armor, and have any kind of stacked melee already. So I highly recommend using a combination of med brews and battle Tartar, or potent brews even if you can afford them, and battle Tartar over any use of enduro stew. Enduro stew is great for certain circumstances where you need a bit of a melee boost and you need some good steady health regen to keep you in tip-top health through maybe a difficult area. But if you're going into pitched battles, like if you ever do Yeti Cave, don't use enduro stew. It's actually kind of a trap. It'll kill you in the end. So stay away from enduro stew. I would say don't bother with Lazarus Chowder, but again, be prepared for everything. You never know, you might want to bring 1 or 2 just in case. And last but not least, what I'm going to recommend people use is also the Shadow Steak Saute. This is going to be really handy because it will allow you to see in the dark, which the dungeons are obviously going to be dark, and it gives you a bit of aim steadying, which a lot of you are going to be using guns in the dungeons, and I get that, and that could be helpful. From what I've seen so far, none of the rooms are particularly huge, but we've only scratched the surface. Again, who knows what they're bringing for us. So I hope you all enjoyed the quick little rundown. Again, what I'm going to recommend to you is bring mushrooms for food, bring a canteen for water. Canteens are more efficient than water jars. A lot of people don't use canteens, and I'm not sure why. Use them over water jars. Bring Focal Chili for random speed boosts. Maybe Lazarus Chowder for underwater segments. I would constantly be running the Callian Soup and the Fria Curry because it's been stated that food and water may be difficult to find in dungeons. Bring plenty of medical brews, maybe an energy brew or 2 if you need them. Never hurts to be prepared. I would recommend bringing 3 or 4 antidotes just in case. A whole bunch of shadow steaks because you're going to want to see the whole time unless you have night vision, but shadow steak is better anyway. And battle Tartar. Bring those, you should be set. I can't wait to see how the devs throw stuff at us that we haven't foreseen, that's going to totally knock us off balance, and where we're going to say, oh, we did need enduro stew, or oh wow, Lazarus Chowder is the best thing to have in the dungeon. So really looking forward to seeing all they have to bring us. Hope this has been a little bit of a helpful rundown on what the different foods do. I know a lot of people miss the enduro stew thing. Make sure you don't use that with med brews. That's like my biggest tip for this video is don't use enduro stew. If y'all have a different opinion, if y'all know a little bit more on that than me, feel free to leave in the comments. I'm always willing to learn, always looking to learn, always looking to get better at the game. That's just something I've taken away from a lot of time playing the game and a lot of mistakes made that way, and a lot of lost gear in Yeti Cave, frankly. So I hope y'all enjoyed our little cooking segment with Sam the Snail here. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, a subscribe, check out my Discord, and if you're interested, take a look at my Patreon in the description. Thanks for watching, see y'all next time.